So it's endurance, right? It's a lot of isolation. It's a lot of hard work. What else is it there that
Uh,
for that is different than what we have to do on a normal job or on just
yeah,
working in normal environment on Earth?
and being sensible. And you're
Mhm.
always being aware. Look, if I'm out here, what could go wrong, and how do I make sure it doesn't? And if it does go wrong, what do I do? But really, perhaps the biggest key is to be there with people you like, that you trust, and that you love. You know that they are your crew becomes like your family. They're different from you. They have different interests and so on. But you've got to work together, help each other. To when they have problems, and they help you when you have problems. And look, these people, I'll do it again with that crew as well. They're a fantastic group.
Do you know
So
each
that
other
the
before
group
you
made it possible.
I definitely, and then a lot of my questions are around the team as well. And to start with, do you know each other when you start these missions, or you know some people but the others not? Because sometimes I have the feeling when I read your journals that maybe some of you knew each other before or have spoken before, and some not. But I'm not sure.
Well, the expedition to Devon Island was the second half of a longer project. So we had all been in Utah
Hmm.
for a 3-month expedition at FMARS, at the MDRS station,
There's yeah.
pardon me, beforehand. So we all knew each other really well from that. But before that, everybody knew at least one or two other people on the expedition. So, for example, when we went to Utah, there was myself, another Australian, Anna Lee.
Hmm.
So we work at the Mars Society together, so we knew each other quite well. We've been on expeditions to New Zealand and to Ladakh, India. There was another girl from India, Anushri. We knew her from Ladakh. And although she hadn't been to MDRS before, she has spent about 2 years providing mission support. So she had a pretty good idea of how the place ran. And the other people, there was someone from France, someone from Canada, another one from the US, someone from Japan, and someone from Russia. All of these people had been to MDRS before as crews, sometimes with each other. So everybody knew at least one or two other people already from our side. And yeah, we clicked really well.
How important do you
And
think for the future,
sorry.
right? For how important do you think for the real Mars expeditions? How important do you think that people should know each other before and maybe have been to such simulated analog places before they go together on Mars? Is it important,
Oh,
or do you think this
absolutely,
can be
really
built?
important. Absolutely essential.
Hmm.
So you'll be living for years on Mars with these people. And those in your audience who've been in share houses, you imagine spending 2 or 3 years with someone you really dislike or really annoys you, uh, and doing that in a place where you can't move away. So it's really important that people can get on, they can respect each other. Even if they argue, they can argue in a way that's constructive and not destructive. And yeah, the way to train for that is for people to live and work together and go on expeditions together. So when people go to the International Space Station, they have spent years working together in Houston, in Moscow. They do intense field training, not because when you're on the International Space Station, you need to know what it's like to live in the Arctic or go hiking through um, the Ural Mountains or the Grand Canyon. But these sort of experiences allow people to bond and also say, well, look, I really like going with that person, but that person, they're very good, but they're not my sort of person I'd like to do this with. And people, like kids in a playground, they sort themselves up into compatible groups, and without too much hassle. And we'll do the same with Mars. And people often say, well, what was it like? Did you argue? I say, no, we're good friends. And they say, well, what did you do? And you think they imagine you sit there staring at each other for hours on end, waiting for someone to pick their nose or burp or something, and then you sort of grab them by the throat. It's not like that. You're working 12 hours a day, and then you've got to have dinner, and then you might have an hour or so where you can listen to some music or read a book or watch a DVD or something together, and then you go to sleep. You are working really hard. You haven't got time to sit there, glaring at each other. Um,
You
people have some funny ideas what it's like.